Pisces season is coming, a season of dreams, fantasies, and spiritual beauty. And you can find your free mini guide all about Pisces season 2025 in the description box. But let's talk about how you can embrace the magic and let go. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Before we do dive in, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you are interested in booking a reading with me, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. Okay, Pisces season 2025. Opening the season, the moon will be in Scorpio, connecting with the other celestial bodies in Pisces, suggesting a transformative and regenerative tone. Okay, setting that tone for the season. A season where we dive much deeper as we explore the unknown. Pisces season is a time to release, let go, and live for today, to live for the now. It's a season of mystery and tapping in with cosmic forces, with the cosmic waters. We see the beauty of stillness and allowing the mind to wander. And with a grand water trine presented in the sky on the first day, what a time for emotional resilience, a time to check in with our spiritual path. How aligned are you with the things that truly matter to you in life? I'm not talking about material wealth or stuff here. I'm talking about love, connection, kindness, inner fulfillment. Recognizing that we can't depend on others to fill up our cup. We must turn within. And often that requires some resistance, right, from the outside world. Often that means letting go of attitudes and beliefs that no longer really align with us. They no longer connect with us, those limiting beliefs. It's okay, you know. It's okay to walk away, to say, hey, I surrender. It's okay to say, I don't know. See, after coming from a season of knowing, which was Aquarius season, a season of intellect, intuition, and electric waves of insight, connecting with our third eye, we arrive at Pisces season, a season that is able to truly let go and be at one with the universe, or to be at peace with oneself, a season of ancient wisdom and hidden knowledge. We connect with our crown chakra. It is a season of spiritual and emotional wisdom. Indeed, this is about truly letting go of any expectations and outcomes. This is certainly not a season of trying to control the waves. It's a season of allowing the waves to move where they please. Sure, with Saturn also in Pisces, we can still guide the waves, right? But that's very different to control. Guidance is much more empowering and soothing. Also, a cycle ends during Pisces season. Consider how Saturn will not be in Pisces during Pisces season next year. Therefore, big lessons come up this year about closing out a chapter tied to our responsibilities, self-doubt, our fears. Maybe you finally make peace with a situation that has felt heavily burdensome. It has caused you great suffering, heartache. You've struggled for a long time. Or you're able to accept a challenging situation for what it is, rather than acting like you must push harder to make it change. Harsh realities here, harsh truths are being offered by Saturn, but the way I see it is the truth sets us free. Pisces is a sign of emotional freedom, We are reminded not to shame or judge ourselves for how we feel, for what we might be experiencing internally. Now, this is not to say that shame or judgment, these things are inherently bad, right? They have their place, of course. But it's still Pisces season that says, listen to your heart. It speaks. But are you willing to listen? Are you willing to go within? Try and not get caught up in labels, Feel how you feel and allow for your emotions just to sort of move through you. That's when emotional growth happens, when we can feel without labeling ourselves. So if, for example, you say you are sad and you are continuously repeating that, I am sad, I am sad, I am sad, what are you going to continue to be? Sad. You are not your sadness. Even saying I am sad means you're identifying with it. But saying I feel sad carries a very different vibration. Pisces reminds us that energy flows where attention goes. And here is something pretty mind-blowing about this. It's that Pisces Sun native Tony Robbins says this very quote. Said originally by James Redfield, the author of The Celestine Prophecy, another Pisces Sun native, by the way, which I was shocked by that. The quote, though, is about intention. The original quote is, where attention goes, energy flows. Where intention goes, energy flows. And so if, for instance, you focus on something that upsets you, you'll most likely continue to stay in that place because you're feeding it. You're feeding it more. You're focusing on it so much. See, we can dwell. We can spiral out of control. Pisces is this archetype that can pity itself. It can act like the victim. There is a side to Pisces that can lack a backbone as well. And it is Saturn in Pisces that has been inviting us since March of 2023 to really develop a backbone and to be brave enough to face our fears. This Pisces season, you could very well walk away from a hopeless situation, right? Something that you've been continuously trying to improve, and you just think, no, I can't do this anymore. You may then have the courage to head off on this new path. It is a time, you see, to disentangle ourselves and to pay more attention to the things that bring us something more meaningful, something more magical. And here is the really powerful thing. Mars turns direct on the 23rd of February. After what has felt like a really long time of this uphill battle, right? Experiencing an uphill battle as if we have had to fall apart and rebuild, having to retreat into our shell for comfort, being forced to face our emotional wounds and pain. Well, we will start to move with greater strength, will, and bravery. Past attacks have been looked at. Old emotional events have been explored. Unconscious ways we protect ourselves have been addressed. And as Mars turns direct and slowly moves forward throughout Pisces season, remind yourself that you didn't give up the fight, right? Remember that you are not your past. To attach ourselves too heavily to the past can keep us from being present. They can keep us from being in the moment, from being alive. They can keep us from growing, right? And when we are triggered by something, it is often a part of our upbringing and our childhood that is being pressed. And so, if you can catch this part of yourself, that is when you can let go and you can respond. Responding to a situation is much different to reacting. This is part of what Mars retrograde in Cancer has been trying to teach us. Therefore, as we continue through Pisces season, see the beauty in responsive action. Actions where we can reflect for a moment first and then move. And so to know that we are not consumed by our emotions is quite freeing. We are not at the mercy of our emotions. that when an emotional wave is felt, it doesn't mean that we must act on it or do something with it. And so we can also catch ourselves before we end up projecting onto another. At the same time, we can investigate them, right? We can learn so much about ourselves by exploring our unconscious motives. If you are enjoying this video so far, then make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more. And if you're interested in learning how to read your birth chart simply, then you can pick up a copy of my astrology cheat sheets. Thank you so much. And this right here leads me on to the retrogrades of Pisces season, as both Venus and Mercury turn retrograde, starting from Aries, making their way into Pisces. Venus retrograde is from the 1st of March until the 12th of April, and then Mercury retrograde is from the 15th of March until the 7th of April. There is a video on the channel about the significance of your Aries and Pisces houses when these two retrogrades occur, right? But essentially, the retrogrades are all about self and stillness, identity and transcendence, assertion and surrender, beginnings and endings, fighting and peace, pushing and letting go. The dance of Venus and Mercury will remind us that it is important to see ourselves as both singular and as non-singular. To see ourselves as this individual point, but also to see ourselves as part of the greater whole. That your identity matters, but you're also not just one thing. You have many sides to you, many parts of yourself to explore, many ways you can actually reinvent yourself. The retrogrades will get us seeing ourselves differently, magically, cosmically. We will be reminded of our passions, our aliveness, our excitement for life, to see that death is a part of life and life is a part of death. Yes, the cycles of life and death, rebirth, transformation, from a caterpillar to a butterfly, shedding our skin like a snake, becoming anew. Now that is magical. And do you know what else is magical? Self-acceptance, the art of being, believing in a new path. To embrace the magic this Pisces season, show gratitude, forgive yourself for your past mistakes, right? Mars retrograde in Cancer, and hold yourself accountable too, right? Saturn in Pisces. See your challenges as opportunities for growth and resilience. You don't have to keep repeating the same cycle. You can choose not to. Also, be creative this Pisces season. Make art, listen to music, connect with nature, make home-cooked meals, bake, write, dance, meditate, paint. Be present, connect with others. Just let it all go. Though another important thing to note is eclipse season as well happening, starting during Pisces season this year, as the lunar eclipse in Virgo occurs throughout the season. Now there will be a video all about the lunar eclipse in Virgo, and I have also created a video about the eclipses of 2025, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. But during eclipse season, the energy can feel intense. So make sure to practice some grounding techniques, such as moving your body or walking on the grass. Major breakthroughs are also likely, such as a health or career breakthrough, perhaps a proposal or a separation. Events related to education, home, family, relationships, career. Something could very well be eclipsed out. Or you make an important life-changing decision. Be open to what the universe has in store. And if something heavier and more overwhelming happens, hopefully you can reach out for support. Heck, you might kick an old habit, especially under the eclipse in Virgo. Again though, more information to come about the moon cycles. And as for Jupiter and Neptune, the rulers of Pisces, well, Neptune is still in Pisces throughout the season, playing a role within retrograde season as well. So, and the North Node, the North Node is also in Pisces, right? Connecting quite strongly with Neptune. Still, try and practice mindfulness. Don't believe everything you hear or see. And you're most likely going to feel very sensitive to your surroundings. And with Jupiter in Gemini, hopefully we can use both the left and right sides of our brain, Sure, our intuition will be heightened during Pisces season. We can be very sensitive, but Jupiter in Gemini asks us to really gather the facts and to also remember logic, right? Logic and reason. To see the evidence of a situation and to notice how the evidence and the facts and the information can assist us, can support us. Can still feel a bit challenging though, I will say that. And also perhaps there are certain tools you can use to tap into your imagination, such as reading a book, playing a game. Do be cautious, of course, of overthinking or worrying or spiraling. At the same time, the Pisces planets throughout Pisces season will sextile Uranus, pointing to some significant shakeups and breakthroughs, especially spiritual breakthroughs and shakeups, major aha moments and cosmic downloads. And if you have been feeling stuck or lost, if you feel yourself feeling a bit stuck or lost throughout the season, Uranus says, let's awaken you. Believing in the impossible is also likely. Seeing your dreams come true, or like a long period of struggle is coming to an end. It can feel like that. See the magic this Pisces season. Embrace the mystery. Be open to awakening moments of insight that get you seeing the world differently and perhaps more independently. Okay, so with the astrology of Pisces season explained, let's get into your horoscopes. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, so first up we have Aries. Aries, this Pisces season, there will be so much happening in your 12th house. And your ruler, Mars, will turn direct. And then both Venus and Mercury will begin their retrograde motion from your sign. So what does all of this mean? Well, the way I see it is that how you're going to embrace the magic is by tapping into your imagination, by healthy escapism. Okay, so this could look like journaling, listening to music, maybe just taking some time to yourself away from the public eye, retreating here, Aries. And also, we could look at this as you feeling somewhat more inspired behind the scenes. Yes, tapping into your creativity in many respects here, Aries. Now, I will also say that a potential challenge you may come up against is related to yourself undoing, how you might get in your own way. Your fears could be addressed, maybe having to sort of look at and address, okay, what is real, what isn't real. But I do think that ultimately, with letting go, a lot of this is about surrendering to the unknown. Okay, after then this period of reviewing, revisiting older sort of arguments or conflicts, older habits, older emotional patterns tied to your family, tied to your living situation, you are going to move forward this Pisces season, Aries, with this newfound perspective, right? And at the same time, you're also going to review and to look over, perhaps it could be an older financial situation. It could be addressing maybe some kind of past communication situation. These things then will be tied to your aims and your goals. Hey, you know what? This could also be regarding your relationships, right? Goals when it comes to relationships. And again, these areas could be tied to the past. Thank you, Aries. And now on to Taurus. So Taurus, this Pisces season, there is a lot happening in your 11th house, right? And then also your ruler, Venus, is going to turn retrograde from your 12th house in Aries throughout the season. And Mercury is also going to turn retrograde from Aries as well. Then Mars is going to turn direct in your 3rd house throughout the season. So what does this suggest for you, Taurus? Well, the way I see it is that the ways in which you are going to embrace the magic this Pisces season is by being a part of something bigger than yourself. I'm thinking about spiritual communities here. I'm thinking about connecting with like minds in a creative sense. And then I'm also thinking about letting go of certain fears or unconscious habits and drives that no longer serve you. sort of disentangling yourself a little bit and maybe even heading off on this new spiritual path in some way, shape, or form. Again, we want to link this to that of friendships, communities, teams, causes. And with Mars turning direct throughout Pisces season, after this period, so since the 6th of January, after this period of looking over, it could be past conflicts, it could be emotional, past emotional situations tied to siblings, cousins, things like that. You're going to move forward, moving forward with this new perspective. Maybe recognizing, for example, what you're willing to tolerate, what you're not willing to tolerate, especially when it comes to communities and relationships. Plus, with Venus and Mercury starting their retrograde motion from your 12th house, we can look at this as you revisiting some kind of older spiritual lesson, maybe tied to your self-worth, tied to your value, tied to your identity. And also we can look at this as you taking a closer look at some past communication situation, right? Maybe it's tied to what it is that you really think. But hey, you know what? Because Gemini does rule your second house, then maybe this could also be a financial matter, right? Revisiting older financial habits. Again, lessons tied to your self-worth. Thank you, Taurus. And now on to Gemini. So Gemini, this Pisces season, there's a lot happening in your 10th house of career and your professional life. So even just thinking about here your accomplishments, your ambitions, your long-term goals. So there's a lot happening within those sort of areas of your life, right? And Mars will turn direct from your second house throughout the season. Plus, both Mercury and Venus will start their retrograde motion from your 11th house, keeping in mind that Mercury is your ruler. So what does this all suggest for you, Gemini? Well, I think that the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic this Pisces season, well, it could be some kind of new opportunity, something that you didn't really see coming. It could be about believing in the impossible, so to speak, when it comes to a career situation, a career opportunity. Something that could very well change your life in this regard, career-wise, professional-wise. This could also be about maybe letting go of certain outcomes or expectations when it comes to career and just living for the now, right? Embracing the moment and maybe even feeling supported by managers or bosses or people you work with. At the same time, with Mars turning direct from your second house this Pisces season, we could also see this as, okay, after this period of you maybe looking to past habits, past emotional patterns tied to your self-worth, tied to finances, tied to your physical security, maybe for you, Gemini, you're going to feel this greater sense of, okay, purpose, direction, as if, yes, this is the next step forward for me financially, materially, right? And then also with Venus and Mercury starting from your 11th house throughout the season, their retrograde motion, you perhaps are going to take a closer look at an older community dynamic, an older friendship dynamic. Maybe there are some words that have been left unsaid. Maybe there are some things that you would like to sort of go over and you're reconsidering, what it is that you want to say or how it is that you wish to communicate within groups. Maybe a lot of this stuff is even tied to leadership. But hey, a lot of this stuff is also really about relationships and connection, right, with Venus involved. So indeed, we could see this as you revisiting some sort of past relationship, past friendship, group situation. Community could be tied in with your community as well. Thank you, Gemini. And now on to Cancer. So Cancer, this Pisces season, there's so much happening in your 9th house of your worldviews, your deeply held beliefs, your teachings, right? Thinking about how you broadcast, how you publish information, even thinking about your philosophical views here, your religious views. Cancer, travel could also be on your mind. So therefore, with with embracing the magic, perhaps this will be about you booking that trip, right? You finally book that trip that you've wanted to go on for the longest time, or it's that you feel really inspired by someone's offerings or by someone else's teachings, and that within itself inspires you perhaps to really share what you know, to share your knowledge. Or this could be, people really showing gratitude and, gratitude and appreciation for what it is that you offer the world. Maybe even as well, a certain legal situation comes to your resolve, or there's some sort of conclusions reached, but then again, perhaps not quite because the retrograde's coming up, or it's that more so throughout Pisces season, you can get a feel for, a sense for, oh, this legal stuff is going to come up. It's going to be addressed. We could even just see this in terms of some kind of movement legally, right? Now, Mars is also going to turn direct in your first house. So we could see this as after this period of you perhaps looking over your aims, your goals, what it is that you actually want moving forward, especially even revisiting older emotional habits, your emotional attachments, how you might even possibly cling to certain outcomes. So after this period of really going within or looking things over a little bit, throughout Pisces season, you could move forward with a newfound perspective, maybe regarding your appearance. It could be about your identity, some serious identity shifts. And then also I'm going to say here that with letting go, maybe it is that you let go of a certain limiting belief throughout Pisces season, and that within itself is really emotionally freeing as well. And I'm also going to mention that with the retrograde starting from your 10th house here, Cancer, well, you are about to approach a time of looking over career stuff, thinking about your reputation, what you want to be known for. We noticed here with you, Cancer, leadership positions, leadership roles. You could very well revisit like a professional relationship. There could be older professional relationship concerns that come up. It could be an older conversation regarding your career. But whatever the case, hopefully we can look at this as you getting the answers that you need throughout Pisces season. Thank you, Cancer. And now on to Leo. So Leo, there's a lot happening in your 8th house this Pisces season. So what we see for you is, with so much energy in Pisces in the 8th, the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic. I think, hey, this is so much about your psychology. This is about digging deep, diving deep into your unconscious. It's also, I think, a good way to release certain pent up emotions, maybe healthy escapism here as well. When it comes to exploring the occult, or when it comes to research and investigation, Leo. And then also we can look at this as you maybe feeling more inspired, or like you want to get things moving to do with joint finances, shared resources. There could be something that you're making peace with, you're coming to terms with, perhaps even a cycle ends in some way, shape, or form here for you, Leo. And there's a letting go, right? Maybe letting go of a certain intimate situation that no longer serves you. Maybe trust is a big part of this, emotional honesty and emotional bonding. Big for you this Pisces season, Leo. And with Mars also turning direct from your 12th house, well, after this period of, with Mars retrograde in your 12th house since the 6th of January, Leo, maybe behind the scenes, a lot has been explored. Maybe a lot of people don't fully realize just how much you've been going through behind the scenes, perhaps having to remind yourself that actually you're stronger than you think, you're more resilient than you think, having to revisit family matters, family traumas, things to do with the past there, having to, maybe take some time to yourself because you just feel so sensitive about things. Retreating has really been likely for you, Leo. Still, with Mars turning direct, this could be this new sense of courage or this new direction, almost feeling like, okay, a sigh of relief. I can see what all of that stuff has been teaching me over the past while. Plus, with both Venus and Mercury turning retrograde from your 9th house throughout Pisces season. What you're coming up towards here, Leo, is a time of review and reassessment tied to things like your higher education. It could be a course, a program, some sort of qualification, maybe having to go over the writing or the research, the details. This could also be some sort of past professor situation or a teacher, maybe an older relationship tied to a teacher or tied to, could be some religious figure, for example, here, Leo. But whatever the case, there is a part of this where older relationship dynamics could be revisited when we think about education, especially higher education, religion too. Could even be about you revisiting an older belief, some sort of belief or some sort of way that you speak to yourself. And that within itself can be this push in some way, shape or form, right? With Aries involved, this push where you say, hold on, let me really take the time to explore the truth of this. Is this true? Hey, this could also be tied to legal stuff, older legal battles, for instance. Thank you so much, Leo. And now moving on to Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, this Pisces season, a lot is going on within your 7th house, yes. And we also notice that Mars is going to turn direct in your 11th house, and your ruler, Mercury, is going to turn retrograde from your 8th house, and then Venus is also going to turn retrograde this Pisces season from your 8th house. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. With so much happening in your 7th house across from you, Virgo, the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic this Pisces season is just, it's being able to believe in the impossible, or just to surrender when it comes to relationships. Trying not to be so concerned about the outcomes or like you need to control things. Even just inner faith, having inner faith when it comes to business partnerships, one-to-one relationships. I'm thinking to myself here, Virgo, is it that you've been in some way, shape or form praying for a miracle, when it comes to business or partnerships, contracts and agreements? And so maybe we could see some sort of movement, We could also possibly look at this as you disentangling yourself from certain one-to-one relationships that no longer serve you spiritually, emotionally. So there is that. And at the same time, we notice with Mars turning direct in your 11th house, after this period of perhaps looking over older friendship conflicts or older past mistakes within communities and teams and groups, so after this period of having to look over those kinds of things, maybe with Mars turning direct, you feel somewhat more like, yes, I have greater control of this. I know what I want. I feel a bit more secure, right? I feel secure within myself about the decision that I want to make when it comes to friendships, groups, teams, organizations that I want to join as well. That could be a big part of it, right? So thinking about business in this way. And we also want to mention here that Mercury and Venus will start their retrograde motion from your 8th house. And so what you're coming up towards here, Virgo, throughout Pisces season is that of taking a closer look at potentially older intimacy habits, older romantic connections that are deeper, deeper bonds here. Could also be about sex in many ways, how it is that you want to change things there, how you want to communicate in terms of your sexual urges, your sexual wants and desires, right? And hey, you know what? A lot of this could be about your identity, your lifestyle. This could also be a case of you looking over older aims or goals. So goals tied to the past that you might have been interested in, maybe you put on the shelf for a little bit and then things come back around. But it's those kinds of aims and goals, I think, that are also linked to that of your deeper passions. So this stuff could even be tied in with your unconscious, having to address older unconscious habits as a way to transform, as a way to feel greater empowerment, inner empowerment. Thank you, Virgo. And now moving on to Libra. So Libra, this Pisces season, there is a lot happening in your 6th house of work, service, your health, your productivity levels, your stress levels. Plus, Mars is going to turn direct in your 10th house, Libra. And your ruler, Venus, is going to turn retrograde from your 7th house. Mercury is also going to turn retrograde from your 7th house throughout the season. So what is this all about? Well, this Pisces season, the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic is by, well, being open to the mysterious, the wild and wonderful when it comes to work relationships. You know, it could be co-worker relationships, colleagues. Hey, this could also be about a new sort of vision, fantasies, dreams tied to the workload itself, or tied to the work that you do, you know, maybe really wanting to spread your message, share your message. And we could also look at this as you sort of untangling yourself from anything that is delusional or anything that just doesn't make sense to you spiritually or emotionally about your work. Maybe even this can be a really healing time for you in terms of your stress levels, sort of being able to surrender and let go, or maybe addressing any unrealistic expectations that you have about work. And of course, health, right? Health is a big part of this. So we think about here what the kinds of things you can do to support your health. Even just thinking about your diet, your fitness levels, things like that. And again, we go back to your stress levels. How can you experience greater ease, Libra? At the same time, with Mars turning direct in your 10th, after this period of perhaps looking over, addressing older career dynamics, maybe, for example, this could be some emotional habit, an emotional pattern tied to the past, right? And this emotional habit or pattern, as I say, it's linked to your professional life, right? It's linked to your career. It could be some sort of older habit that you revisited in terms of what you've been clinging to, clinging to a past professional situation. And, maybe a part of this too is about making peace, making peace with a situation and being able to walk away. And I can't help but think that such matters, yes, very much work related because of the 6th house, 10th house activations. Still, with Mars turning direct, maybe you will feel this greater sigh of relief, or like you can finally move forward. I'm even thinking to myself, is it that you address an older manager conflict or member of authority conflict, Libra? But moving on, we also notice that throughout Pisces season, with Venus and Mercury turning retrograde from your 7th house, right, the sign opposite you in Aries, we could see this as you possibly having to re-explore, revisit, re-examine an older relationship dynamic, more so one-to-one. Older contracts and agreements could come up for further investigation. This could also be about an older conversation, maybe with your significant other, with your partner. Conversations about marriage, commitment could come up, right? And maybe there's some inner work to do, or it's that you just want to address things so that you can, reach a resolve. Though, of course, with that being said, there can be this tug of war influence because the 7th house is activated. Still, I also see this as you maybe revisiting an older way of making money from partnerships, right? This could be an older collaboration that you look over. Thank you so much, Libra. And now on to Scorpio. So Scorpio, this Pisces season, a lot is happening in your 5th house of children, creativity, your artwork, time off, Scorpio. Time off, leisure activities, celebrations, parties, your romantic life. So these areas are very much being activated throughout Pisces season. And then also one of your rulers, Mars, is going to be turning direct from your 9th house, Scorpio. And then also both Venus and Mercury are going to turn retrograde from your 6th house throughout the season. So let's break this down slightly. This Pisces season, the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic is by being creative. It's by embracing, your passions, your interests, your hobbies. I think many of you Scorpios, you are in need of some time off, time to just be at ease, time to let go, time to escape in healthy ways. So escapism via your creativity, via your art, via some kind of leisure activity that brings you joy, makes you feel good. And then the other thing to add to this, of course, Scorpio, is, well, with Mars turning direct, you have for a good while, so since the 6th of January, you've been having to go over could be a past conflict tied to legal matters. And I have seen this within certain Scorpios. Yes, legal battles, legal conflicts, frustrations there, having to go over all of that, and it's just draining. Also, perhaps having to go over past, hey, it could be like a past travel situation, a past travel experience, could be past conflicts tied to professors or teachers, certain mentors of yours. Indeed. And we also see here you hopefully moving forward then throughout Pisces season. I mean, this could even be a case of you wanting to qualify in some field, in some area, and you've been taking the time to do your research, to become informed, to gain your knowledge. And again, with Mars turning direct, you feel this forward movement. Now, at the same time, with both Venus and Mercury turning retrograde from your 6th house this Pisces season, you are about to approach a time of addressing an older work relationship, maybe older work issues tied to like a co-worker relationship. Could also be about an older contract or an agreement. It could be possibly a conversation that needs to be had that you thought was done with, you thought it was over. This could also be health concerns coming back up, maybe having to pay closer attention to your health, perhaps revisiting an older health routine or some kind of previous schedules or habits. Thank you, Scorpio. And now let's move on to Sagittarius. Right, Sagittarius, there is a lot happening in your 4th house this Pisces season. Also thinking about family, your emotional security, your emotional needs, just a lot of family activity going on. Your home life being activated here, Sagittarius. Maybe significant movement or relocating or adjustments within the home, decorating, renovating, etc. Needing some time to yourself, needing to escape, needing some peace and quiet. All of these things will come up during Pisces season. And I do think that the ways in which you're going to embrace the magic is by perhaps just taking that time to be with your loved ones, to be with those closest to you. Or embracing the magic could look like you just spending some time at home. It could be on your own. Some behind the scenes activity, just letting go, and possibly as well here, Sagittarius, disentangling yourself from family relationship dramas and just the confusion and the manipulation and stuff like that tied to family. And you just need a minute. You just need a break, Sagittarius. Okay. Also with Mars, so Mars is going to turn direct in your 8th house. And so we have seen this for you, Sagittarius, addressing older intimacy habits or older intimacy emotions. So emotions tied to intimacy, basically, possibly having to revisit older conflicts within intimate relationships here. Could also be tied to sex as well. Stuff could be looked at and addressed with relation to divorce or settlements or shared resources, even tapping into your own shadow and addressing your shadow, addressing your unconscious, certain blockages, for instance, repressions, for instance, so emotional blockages, what you repress within yourself. So with Mars turning direct, we could look at this as you moving forward in some way, shape or form when it comes to those very areas, right? And then also to touch on both Venus and Mercury retrograde. Yes, Venus and Mercury retrograde will begin from your 5th house throughout Pisces season. So what's going to happen for you, Sagittarius, is that you're about to come to this period of perhaps exploring older romantic relationship dynamics, certain conversations tied to romance, right? So past romantic conversations will come up. It could be something like dating and love, of course, but this could also be more about commitment and marriage too. This could also look like you revisiting some creative projects, older creative projects that you rethink, that you revisit from a place of a new, sort of a different inspiration, right? Something that's different about inspiration and innovation when it comes to creativity. Plus, hey, this could also be older conversations tied to your children. And it's those conversations that are had with your significant other. Heck, this could be about financial matters. So certain finances that you look over and review because you want to provide for your children, or it's that you want to invest maybe in a creative project of yours or some kind of hobby. Thank you, Sagittarius. And now on to Capricorn. So Capricorn, this Pisces season, there is a lot happening in your 3rd house. So your 3rd house of study, communication, speech, commuting, getting from A to B, neighbors, so even how you move throughout your local area, all these kinds of things will be addressed throughout the season. And then also to mention that Mars is going to turn direct in your 7th house throughout the season, and Venus and Mercury are both going to turn retrograde from your 4th house. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. The ways in which you're going to embrace the magic this Pisces season is by just allowing for that inspiration to come, right? That flow from your mind, to be able to just be inspired to follow that inspiration wherever it might go. This is a very creative time for you mentally. Capricorn could be good for painting, writing, dance, music. You can really tap into your imagination this season and use it to your benefit, Capricorn. Also, this letting go stuff could be tied in with certain thoughts that you finally shift, certain thoughts about yourself or thoughts about maybe certain siblings or people in your life. This could also be tied in with, okay, what is emotionally draining you? What might be holding you back even when it comes to educating yourself on a certain subject or topic, right? And then to also add to this, with Mars turning direct after this period of perhaps revisiting older relationship dynamics and conflicts, possible arguments or projections, older sort of emotional attachments there, emotional habits and patterns. So after this period of having to explore all that stuff or sit with that stuff, well, you may finally start to sort of move forward, or you can kind of think, well, what have I really learned? What have my relationships taught me over the past few weeks or months even, about how I show up within partnership, how I show up within relationships. Could be that you revisited older contracts and agreements, and maybe there were some issues or there was resistance there. But again, with Mars direct, we could see some movement. Right, let's also then explore how Venus and Mercury are going to turn retrograde in your 4th house throughout Pisces season. So there are also layers to this related to property, ownership, family, housing, these kinds of areas, your living situation, Capricorn. But you see, the retrogrades could be where you explore an older financial connection or an older relationship situation linked in with your family. It could be older family member dynamics. This could be a conversation from the past that comes back up. It could be some sort of contract or an agreement that comes through tied to housing, tied to your living situation. Perhaps even this is about mindset shifts regarding your emotional needs, your emotional security. Thank you, Capricorn. And now on to Aquarius. So for you, Aquarius, what we see is that there is so much happening in your second house this Pisces season. So we think about themes tied to how you earn a living, right? Your income, your skills, your talents. Also matters tied to your physical security. Just ultimately here, how you provide for yourself, possibly even just how you manage your money, how you spend it, how you budget, how you invest. Yes, these are going to be the kinds of areas that you explore strongly throughout Pisces season. And then the other thing to say then, of course, is with embracing the magic, well, perhaps this is about being open to something really exciting or interesting, something freeing with relation to these areas. Maybe it is partly about believing in the impossible or being open to the unknown. Possibly this is about self-discovery or just having faith, really showcasing inner faith and surrendering to the unknown in many ways regarding your finances. And then even letting go could be tied in with your self-worth, right? Your self-worth, how you value yourself. Perhaps there are certain emotions that you shift or that move, so you don't feel as small or as lonely or as perhaps in some respects weak, right? It's just, yeah, we could see this as self-worth shifts that are hopefully more empowering and, hey, loving, compassionate, etc. Maybe even feeling somewhat more inspired when it comes to your skills and your talents, Aquarius. Now, as for Mars, Mars is going to turn direct in your 6th house throughout Pisces season. And so over the past while, you have been going over, revisiting older work matters. I'm talking about work conflicts. I'm talking about possibly arguments with certain coworkers and colleagues, maybe having to explore your emotional security time and time again related to your services. Perhaps also revisiting or having to look over older health concerns and health issues. Yeah, and these kinds of things have been emotionally stressful, perhaps, for many of you Aquarians. Productivity levels have been challenged. Your stress levels have been challenged. So with Mars turning direct, maybe we're going to see a bit of rest. Just things are not going to feel as hopefully not as intense, not as overwhelming. Maybe a sigh of relief a little bit, and you'll see movement, more movement happen with Mars turning direct. Now, as for Venus and Mercury retrograde throughout Pisces season, you may go over an older conversation, could be tied in with classmates, peers, thinking about childhood friends, having to really communicate from a place of confidence and just knowing what you want. Could also be that there's some uncertainty present as well. Hopefully, though, it's not about getting into unnecessary arguments either. Hey, it could also be older conversations tied to siblings, tied to your cousins, your neighbors, things like that. Or it's that you will revisit an older way of earning money from your studies or earning money from your writing or the research that you do. Hey, it could be an older sort of subject that you were once interested in and then you put it on the shelf for a while and you feel really inspired. It's like, oh, okay, let me just look over that and see what I can do to maybe switch it up, or is there anything else I want to change, or how can I maybe possibly start that? So yeah, you can take that time to just review things. Hey, it could also be older transportation stuff that comes up throughout the retrogrades, Aquarius. Okay, thank you so much, Aquarius. And now on to Pisces. So firstly, Pisces, it is your season. So I want to say happy birthday to all of you solar Pisces out there. And let's just say that a lot is happening for you, right? Personally speaking, in terms of your identity, in terms of your appearance, your body, your health also could very well be a big focus for you throughout your season. But let's get into this, because the ways in which you are going to embrace the magic throughout your season, I think, is by focusing a great deal on your aims and goals and what it is that you actually want, what you're yearning for, what your visions, what your fantasies, what your wildest dreams are. Pisces. And maybe a part of it too is about believing in the impossible, believing in something new, and it could be that thing, it's so unknown, it's so mysterious, but you just follow your intuition, and you just put one foot in front of the other, Pisces, and miracles can happen. Miracles could very well happen this season regarding maybe a new aim, a new goal, a new ambition. Something can change even regarding your identity and your appearance this season, Pisces. And I also want to add that Mars is going to turn direct in your 5th house throughout your season. So after this period of maybe having to revisit older arguments within romantic relationships or older conflicts regarding children, it could be emotional issues or concerns that you've had to look over and address regarding, again, it could be children, it could be lovers. Heck, this could also be about your interests, your passions, your hobbies. Maybe there has been some of this kind of tug, this possible conflict when it comes to your hobbies, etc. So after having to sort of explore these areas and looking over these areas, which, by the way, with you, perhaps you've learned a great deal about what it is that you want or need. But basically with Mars turning direct, you may feel like, okay, let's move forward with this. Maybe you'll reach a resolve, for example, when it comes to a romantic partnership, or it's that you can see greater movement when it comes to your children, some sort of children related matter. Again, this could be related to your creativity. It could also be about time off, leisure activities. Maybe you're seeking more time off, but there's been some resistance during the retrograde. So yes, we could see more movement. Right, let's now explore both Mercury and Venus turning retrograde in your 2nd house throughout the season. So throughout Pisces season, okay, you're also going to possibly look over older ways that you make money, or a certain older habit. It could be a spending habit that you kick or that you revisit. It could be that you re-explore your self-worth in some way, shape, or form, maybe because it's like you want to be more confident or you want to be a bit of a leader. So you'll take a closer look at your self-worth. Self-worth tied in with your relationships, tied in with communication as well. Maybe a part of this is about how you feel within partnership, how you're treated, how you're respected or not respected within relationships. Again, this stuff could also be about money. So how you earn money. So reviewing your money situation, your financial health in many respects, and also thinking about older communication habits could come up. Older communication patterns could come up. But that could also be about how it is that you can assert yourself within those conversations, Pisces. Okay, so this has been the video all about Pisces season. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck during this season. Again, happy birthday to all of you solar Pisces out there. And I do hope that this video has prepared you for the season ahead. If you find it to be helpful, you can always buy me a coffee. Stay tuned for more, and I will catch you in the next one.